that alone is so powerful. And all the tools, the strategies, the work I've done on myself over the years as I've grown and am going to continue to do, all of it has helped me to, yeah, like you say, turn this into something that some people may look at as a limitation for themselves. I don't. I think it's quite cool and just part of who I am. But it doesn't limit me. It doesn't mean that I'm not able to do certain things or thrive in life.
Hey everyone, I'm Megs, and you're listening to the Mindful Megs Podcast, Organizing an ADHD Brain, where you will hear stories from me and others on how we organize both our brains and our lives while living with ADHD. We talk about how ADHD can be your superpower if you know how to harness it. I found out I had ADHD 2 years ago, and it was very difficult for me to find acceptance. Now that I know so much, I want to share what I know and help others understand that this diagnosis is not your downfall. It's a eureka moment where you can now understand how your brain operates and how to figure out how to thrive. You can expect to feel inspired, like you're not alone, and learn about so many of the incredible organizational tools there are to help your head stay on straight. Thank you so much for tuning in.
I'm really excited about our next guest, Mary. She is also a podcast host and has ADHD, and we bonded over that and how we stay mindful on a regular basis. We talk a lot about mindfulness in this episode, which for the longest time when it came to meditation, I didn't think that it was possible for me to meditate. My thoughts race on a regular basis so often and so much. I thought that there was no way to tame it. We don't really talk about the how in this episode. The how could be different depending on who you are and how your brain works. But just because you have ADHD and your brain constantly takes you away from the meditation doesn't mean that you can't still try. It doesn't mean that you're going to sit down and be incredible at it right away. In fact, it could take months or even years, but the practice of being mindful and putting your brain in a situation where it can learn how to quiet down even just a tiny bit more than where we're already at can be very helpful. I actually use meditations on Spotify. There's a lot of different meditation podcasts that I like to listen to, or even just meditation playlists. Mary not only has her own business, she helps her husband manage his business, and then she also works full time and is a mom. And if you have ADHD, you know that managing multiple priorities and figuring out which priorities to take on above another is a very hard thing for us to do. I get so excited about so many things, and we talk about this in this episode, taking on a lot all at once. And in some cases, our brains do thrive when it comes to taking on a lot. In other cases, you should still be aware of how much you're taking on and understanding that you can't do it all. So learning when to ask for help and setting boundaries, as we talk about in this episode too, is so important. What does that look like for you? I am excited to hear what you think. So without further ado, here's Mary.
Welcome back to the Mindful Megs Podcast, Organizing an ADHD Brain. I'm thrilled to have Mary Dibble here today. Mary, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Heck yeah. Will you tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what you do?
Absolutely. So I'm Mary Dibble. I am a wife, a mom of 3. I have a 2-year-old son, a 4-year-old daughter, and a 15-year-old son. I am a life and success coach, and I am also the host to Radiant Mom Rising podcast. I am all about helping empower moms to live their best life, pursue their dreams, and be their authentic, real self and embrace that, their unique gifts. So it's been a very interesting, amazing journey as a mom myself, working from home while building my own business and just doing all the things.
Heck yeah. There's a lot that you do.
Yeah.
And speaking of gifts, we both have ADHD. So tell us a little bit about your journey. When did you find out you had ADHD?
So I found out that I had ADHD in my early 20s, and it made sense when you get that diagnosis, it's like, oh, well, that's why I've always been this way. It helps to connect a lot of the pieces of the puzzle. And at first, they, wanted to put me on Adderall medicine, and
Mhm.
I had a history of drug addiction and pain meds and pills and things like that from my past as a teenager, that I was at a point that I had really walked away from that world, and I was scared. Not even scared, but just, being honoring my values. And it was to not be reliant on drugs. I had been down the road of depression medicine, anxiety medicine before, and I always felt like it made me worse. But I did try the Adderall a little bit, and it semi helped me, but it also, I felt like, took away from my bubbly personality. It was weird. I just responded differently to the medication. So I made the decision to just flush them down the toilet and never turn back. And I've just kind of learned to accept it. It's just part of how I am, how I'm wired. Sometimes I'm sure it probably comes off a little offensive to people who don't know that about me and know that it's like a dog with a squirrel. Squirrel. I'm sure you can understand. But it's still, at the same time, I'm very capable of listening and tuning in. And that's actually been the help of the work that I do. That's helped me become more mindful and to get more control over my mind. And that alone is so powerful. And all the tools, the strategies, the work I've done on myself over the years as I've grown and am going to continue to do, all of it has helped me to, yeah, like you say, turn this into something that some people may look at as a limitation for themselves. I don't. I think it's quite cool and just part of who I am. But it doesn't limit me. It doesn't mean that I'm not able to do certain things or thrive in life.
I think what's really interesting what you say about being mindful, and it reminds me of the work that I've done on myself, that we have so much control over what we're thinking and how we think. Even though our brain works a certain way when it comes to ADHD, we have thoughts and then they disappear almost the very next second. We also have so much that we can do to combat the negative thoughts and the things that happen to us on a regular basis. You had mentioned you struggled with addiction. So, when you found out that you had ADHD, did that help you understand your addiction a little bit more?
Yeah, it definitely did, actually, because it's just one of those things. Like, I never knew self worth, self love growing up as it is. So when you're going through so many changes as a young lady moving into your teens, you're already going through so much. So when you don't have a foundation or the role model, in your life to help guide you and get you through that, you're just kind of lost. You're just trying to, you don't know what you're doing at the same time, although you think you know it all as a teenager. I did. And that just is why I was so easily influenced and manipulated and taken down these dark roads, because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how worthy I was and how amazing I was. And so, because of those insecurities, because of not understanding the way my mind worked and who I really am at the core, yeah, it definitely did not help. And me not getting caught up in these horrible things. But I am a survivor of that. And I am evidence and proof that you can get away from that. You can change your life and turn it completely around and attract all the amazing things that was meant for your life. And so that's why I'm on this mission to help other people, and moms especially, to find their way outside of their roles as a mom or a wife or an employee, and really take back their life and make it what they deserve and what they want.
I love that. And
Yeah.
teaching people that they can live their dreams if they put their mind to it and
Yeah.
have that mindfulness, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about the mindfulness and how that's helped you cope with ADHD.
So it's the awareness of it all. I didn't even realize how much I was controlled by my subconscious mind. And when I learned that through life coaching, I was blown away. And it got me really working to take those moments of meditating or focusing and recognizing my behaviors and my triggers and things like that about myself. And the more and more I became mindful of that, the more I learned about myself, the more I was able to be like, oop, nope, I'm going to choose to respond differently or to see it differently, because that's another thing. My thoughts were always negative, negative, negative. I was one of those people who woke up in the mornings and it's like it's like I was consumed with these thoughts of like dreadful things that I had to get done in the day, or bad things that just happened to me the other day that I'm still carrying with me, or just all these negative. It was horrible. It felt like waking up into a nightmare a lot of times. And sometimes if it happened to me at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting there tossing and turning for hours, trying to shut it off, but it would not. And so now it's nice to have other means of like affirmations and speaking positive, changing my language, just being more mindful of everything, of just the beauty and the amazing things that I have around my life right now as I'm walking this journey. Sometimes it's a matter of being mindful that, hey, my husband's around. I know how he feels about me getting distracted on my phone, for instance. So I'm going to put my phone away and be self disciplined and not even let me be tempted by it. Because I know that with ADHD, it's like when your phone goes off, you can't help. You have to look. It's weird. That's at least that's how it is for me. So it's
Mhm.
just knowing these little things about myself and then choosing to do something about it and taking the action when that time happens. And also being compassionate with myself. I mean, and we're not perfect. We're humans. We mess up. So I'm also learning to be kinder to myself and not beating myself up when I do fall, when I do make my mistakes, when I do upset my husband because I did get on my phone in the middle of a conversation because of it or something. So I'm really working on the overall, hey, we are who we are. We're working to always improve. And it really does get easier in some ways. And then other times, yeah, you're just going to have an off day and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's just finding that balance and that just enjoying it all.
I love that too. And I want to point out that a lot of the times when you decide to become mindful and you start to take steps towards that life, it's not as if you decide to be positive one day and then it just happens. It's
I
like,
wish we wish it were that easy, right?
right.
So-
I see you and you're a light in this life. And it's so great to talk to someone else with ADHD because I think we become immediate best friends. I feel like that with everyone I talk to on this podcast. And the truth is that to make a change in your life, you have to start with one little bit of effort every single day. And you have to build upon that. And I've found that I thrive off of routine. And when I start to incorporate gratitude and affirmations and meditation into my life, it's not as if that then makes my life perfect, but it gives me the tools to work with so that I can combat some of those things that still come into my brain on a regular basis. So I want to point that out because we are so great at telling people what to do, but also it's okay that you fail. Like do it and then keep failing until you don't fail as much. And then you get better at it. Right.
Yeah,
So,
you'll never get any better if you don't do anything at all. So yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. It's better to, I mean, you learn the most when you do that. It's more at the forefront of your head when you make a mistake at work, right? And so you double think about that whenever certain situation arises again. So
Yeah.
I know that some of my best lessons and what's helped me improve are my failures, are the mistakes that I make. It's a great perspective to have and not feel, like I said, be so mean to yourself about it. That's yeah.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
celebrate the little wins. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Always, always. Because any little improvement is awesome. And it just shows that you're making effort. And with effort, you're gonna have other consequences. You're gonna attract all the things that you want. One way or another, you're gonna attract things, right? So let's think about what do you want to attract for your life because you're gonna attract it one way or another. And
Mhm.
that's another realization that I've learned on this journey with manifestation and understanding the laws of the universe. And I didn't realize like how much of a reality I was creating for myself. And I was like, oh Lordy, no, I do not want to keep attracting all the wrong relationships. I do not want to keep attracting the struggles financially for myself because of how my relationship was with money. So it's like getting that mindfulness and understanding and allowing myself to learn from other people and to pursue investing in myself was the best decision I ever made and I love it, and I'm going to continue to do it.
That is so cool. Can you give us an example of the attitude you had towards money then and the attitude that you changed so that you could have a different perspective towards money?
Yeah, so all my whole life, actually, I grew up believing that you have to work really hard to earn money, and even then, you're still gonna struggle. Like, people like me don't really get that, like, only this 1% of people are lucky enough to be successful and rich in this world, and that's just a belief I had, and I believe that, we work to pay our bills and to get by and to try to live as comfortably as possible, and that if you don't have a college degree, then you're probably not gonna have a good paying job. Like, I believed all those things, and because I had went to college, a community college a little bit, but I became a mom, and it was hard for me, and I didn't get to finish, but I still learned a lot, and honestly, I'm not a school person. I actually thrive at experience. I am the kind of person that I can go into a job not knowing a single thing, but you show me, like 1 or 2 times, and I got it. That's just how I've always been. That's how I'm wired, and so just honoring that in my life really helped me. And you know what? I just had a brain fart, like, look, right there. You have a thought coming in, and then it disappears. I don't even remember what I was going. I was scared. I was a kind of more of a hoarder and a saver because every time I got money, I was scared of losing it because I grew up poor. So I became one of those people who tried to hoard it, was a bit stingy or whatnot. But then even that wasn't good enough because I would still have this also other side of me that would want to spoil my child because I wanted to give him everything that I didn't have. And so I had this really wishy-washy way about myself of overly getting myself in credit card debt while trying to hoard on to some money in savings because I was scared to pay it off, even though I had all this interest rate. So I was so twisted in the way I saw things. And it's been a great shift for me later on in life now, understanding that I had this relationship with money and working to heal that, change my language, change my perspective of it, and trust that it is already mine. It is on its way to me all the time. I am the magnet and I am connected to the infinite source, and I believe in that. And so I am working to just take action here when I can and follow a lot of there's so many methods out there of helping you pay off your debt, helping you to save, helping you to do things like that. And it's all about educating yourself. And that's what I've decided to do. I was like, okay, instead of being afraid of this, I'm going to invest and educate and have somebody who is an expert in finances teach me, and then in turn, I'm going to not only help myself, but I'll be able to help my clients because now I have a new skill and new knowledge that I can in turn help somebody who might be struggling with their financial relationship with money. So it's a win-win, right? That's how I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I look at it now.
I think that so many people can benefit from hearing that. And that's what I teach in my Infinite Possibilities course too, is you can't have a good relationship with something that you've never had a good relationship with if you don't change your belief system around it. And so when you believe that money is scarce and money is hard to come by, then that is your reality. And that
Mhm.
will always be your reality. Whereas if you say money comes to me easily, and as you said, I am a magnet for money, that is beautiful, then that is your reality. And that becomes your reality as long as you're continuously taking steps towards that every single day. Those little steps go
Mhm.
so far and create so much purpose in your life when they compound upon one another.
Yes,
So,
and I will say this too, understand that when you've had that kind of mentality for so many years of not believing the best way about money, even though you're reframing, even though you're making those changes of the thoughts, that doesn't mean you're gonna wake up. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's so many possibilities in this world. I don't even want to speak because I know there's evidence all around of people who literally do have amazing stuff happen to them all the time, and I do believe in that completely. But there are also people that I've met that I've seen, and even in my own journey, where even though I was working to reframe that, it didn't mean that the money came like right then and there. It still took time, but that's why you still work to change those beliefs because the more you shift it, the longer you allow your subconscious mind to now believe this thought, it's going to blow you away that the opportunities that will open, the money that will start showing up in different ways too. Like look for this, even the small ways that something can happen. Like I know recently, for instance, one of the things that happened was my husband got an incredible raise out of, that he hadn't raised in years. And finally I encouraged him. Like, speak up for yourself. You are so valuable to this company. I know that if you talk to them, they will see that it's a no-brainer for them,
Mhm.
And so he was so nervous, so shy, because even though he knows his worth, he's scared. He thinks it's going to cause confrontation. He's afraid of the no's. And aren't we all? But you don't know until you ask. And I was so proud of him for finally doing it. And look, he got it. And so it's like, there you go. That's one little sign that here I am changing my beliefs about money. And I'm speaking new that, hey, we are magnets. It is coming to us. It is already ours. We're just walking the path towards it. And then now that's going to make a huge difference for us. That's just one small example that God is showing us that, hey, I got you. I got you. So keep trusting and keep believing.
Yeah, that is beautiful. And I want to turn that around on the ADHD brain too, because I feel like the narrative out there so often is, well, you have ADHD, you are this way. There is no other way about it.
Mhm.
And the thing is that, yeah, there's certain things that our brain does and reacts to. And sometimes we get paralysis in a way that's very hard to overcome. And if we continue to say, I can't do that because I have ADHD, or, well, I have ADHD, so I'm not worthy of that, or that brings me down, then the truth is that's going to be your reality too.
Yeah.
Whereas if you reframe it and say, ADHD is a gift, ADHD is who I am, it's my personality, and I thrive with ADHD, then that is also going to be your reality. And I can see you are thriving with ADHD. But tell me, how do you organize your life in a way that you can control some of the symptoms that come across?
A huge part of it is honestly my Google Calendar. That is my saving grace with remembering not just appointments that I have coming up or scheduled, interviews, things like that, but paying bills, just knowing that my kid's got an event coming up, whatever it is. I love utilizing it, but the most important thing for me is every evening, the day before, I always go through the next day and I freshly put it in my mind. Okay, I have this going on or this is going on. Like, I don't just wait for it to alert me. So like 30 minutes before. I
Yeah.
always check the nights before and prepare myself mentally, especially in the evenings. I love that. To prepare myself mentally for this is going to be what my day is going to kind of look like as far as what I have scheduled, and then allow flexibility for the rest of it and just get done what I can get done. So that truly helps me to stay organized, to stay on top of things, because on this journey, as you know, when you're doing podcasting, you don't know when someone's going to schedule, interviews, and you're also trying to do your own business stuff. So you have people coming for that, on top of your kids and all this going on. And it's easy to get like, it can get chaotic. And if you don't
Yeah.
set yourself an organized way of checking in, making sure things are answered, making sure things are done, and don't hesitate. Like, some people have to have like notepads. I am somebody who likes to, just have like notes in my phone, whatever it is that you have to do to remind yourself. And I know people who love to put sticky notes around their computers. I can't do that. But there are
Stresses me
people who,
out.
yeah, I know, me too. It's too messy. But then, whatever works for you, to make sure you don't forget, because for instance, with my day job, it, I will be pulled in 100 different directions. I have 3 different bosses to answer to, on top of customers randomly calling and requesting things. I have my basic daily things that I have to work on top of all these people being like, oh, invoice this, oh, do this, oh, contact this person, oh, check on this, or hey, I need this, or blah, blah, blah. So you have to also organize your way of just prioritizing, because sometimes I used to be so like, oh my God, I have to answer them right away. I have to do this right away. And I would go from one thing to the next and then forget about this, or this didn't follow through because I was in the middle of it and got pulled away. So things like that, I feel like, first of all, somehow my brain works amazing to stay on top of my work stuff, which is awesome. But at the same time, I've also learned to not stress myself so much and be like, you know what? What's the most important thing to do right now? I'm going to finish it and the rest can wait. Like, it will
Yeah.
be okay. And it's been so nice and refreshing to stop putting so much pressure on myself, because I was a people pleaser and I didn't want to keep people waiting and I didn't want to disappoint them because I didn't answer them in 2 seconds. And so it's like, no, if, do what's the most important thing you're doing follow through, finish it, and then move on. I love living like that now, where I don't feel like I'm being pulled in 100 different directions.
Thank you for saying that, because I think a lot of people need to hear that. We need to hear that it's okay that people don't get a response right away. And the truth is that no one's expecting a response right away.
Yes, we put that on ourselves, don't we?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases, right, if they are expecting a response right away, it's because we've shown them that that's what they should expect from us. And so in some cases, we have to then set boundaries and say, hey, in the past, you've gotten this immediately from me. Going forward, this is what you can expect from me. And please give me a deadline or do this or do that. And the more we get used to communicating our needs to others, that helps us show up better too. Because when I worked a desk job and I was managing, 14 people, it was difficult. There was a lot going on, and I had a to-do list that was never ending. And it was crazy because I felt like I was leaving every day not getting that to-do list done, except that finally I realized there's never a day where you get everything done. There's always going to be a to-do list. There's always something else to do.
Yeah.
And it's okay to let that go and understand what you get done today can be prioritized for, I don't know, the next day if you don't get something done. So I love you saying that so much. And I think we need to normalize that
Yes.
that
Yeah.
it's okay to not be at someone's beck and call every
Yeah.
5 seconds.
Yes, exactly. And it's so awesome. You're right. I didn't even think about that. It is setting boundaries. And that is important to do, not just in your work life, but even in your personal life with your kids, with your husbands, like with your family members, like setting those healthy boundaries, like when you need time for certain things or for just yourself, like do it. I know people who set time blocks for their like to make themselves take the time for themselves. And I honor that. I think that is incredible advice because some people it's easy when you're busy to just put yourself on the back burner. And the next thing you know, you're neglecting your you time. And I think that's such an important thing that we need to do for everyone's sake. Because if you don't fill your cup up, if you don't take care of yourself, then you're not going to really be able to help them or show up in the way that everybody deserves. I don't necessarily block time out for my time, but I make sure to get it one way or another. I mean, even my children, I've had to teach them with my lifestyle now. Mommy's got work time or mommy's got this time, and they self entertain. They're used to it. They respect my time. And I love it because it's built a healthier relationship overall where, again, I'm not being pulled with so many things at one time. And I can really focus on what I need to focus on.
I love that. And it reminds me because yoga is my jam and I love going to yoga. I have a studio that's about a mile from my house and it's absolutely incredible. But sometimes I won't go just because I feel pulled in other directions and I don't prioritize it and I'll make excuses. But my girls will actually look at me and be like, Mommy, I think you should go to yoga tonight. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
And it's
Okay.
proven that I'm a better mom if I take me time. I'm better off as a business owner and to my clients when I'm focused on me. So, how do you fit it in? I know you said you meditate, you do affirmations. So,
Yes.
how
And
do you
I
find time for that?
actually do yoga too in the mornings. I just do it here in my living room. I am very blessed, should I say, that I do have a very flexible life right now, a very flexible schedule because I do get to work from home and I'm not micromanaged. I pretty much get to make my own schedule. As long as I get things done, that's what matters. And I'm really good at getting things done. So I am very blessed to have the ability because of what I've worked hard for, which is to get to this point, is to have that flow of like when the time presents itself, I just take it. It varies from day to day, but pretty much I do enjoy my morning rituals where I do wake up and even if my son's with me, he's really respectful and I get my yoga done anyways. I do my affirmations. I do, my coffee. I love my coffee in the mornings. And just have my time. And then sometimes in the evenings, if I get done early and everything's like fine, even if sometimes there's a mess or whatever, I'm like, I'm just going to take some time for mommy right now. I'm going to sit down and enjoy a show or whatever it is that I need. And during this time in the summertime and well, springtime that's coming, I love getting outdoors. Oh, do I love I'm a kayaker. I love to go kayaking, and so I can't wait to start doing that again. But being outside in nature is very important to me. So whether it be having my oldest son hang out with the kids during nap time while I go take a walk or just sit out on the porch and listen to an amazing podcast that inspires me, whatever it is, I find the time, I make the time one way or another. And I just set those boundaries with my family when that time comes, if I have to.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And that's
Mm.
so awesome because I think the more we normalize that it's okay to take you time and to
Okay.
take care of yourself, the more we can teach people that there's more to life than just doing everything for other people. It's
Right?
okay to take care of you.
Yes.
And yeah. So tell me a little bit about your ADHD superpower. What do you feel like is your gift when it comes to ADHD?
So I feel like what I love is the fact that because my attention span so kind of is short, I'm so involved and capable of being involved in so many different things at one time. And it's not overwhelming for me. It actually excites me. I love learning new things. I love going from one thing to the next. Yes, sometimes I tend to I probably do put more on me than I should, but because of that and the way I am able to go from one thing to the next and things like that, it just really helps me to explore so much, to take in so much information, to learn new things all the time and allow myself to grow and grow and grow and improve so much further than if I am somebody who just only stuck with one thing. I just think that's one of my favorite things about it is like just my ability to really take on so much at once.
But in a
Yeah.
positive way. It's
And
not as
it's
if,
yes, it's not. Yeah, exactly.
right, you're doing all of these things that you love. And I've heard that so much from people with ADHD. And it's a way to keep our brain going, not a way to slow us down.
Yeah.
And it's because we love doing so many different things. There's so many things that excite me and make me passionate about life. And it's okay that I'm doing a little bit of everything because I'm learning so much about myself at the same time.
Exactly. I think that is a gift from it because it some people are just so stead focused on just one thing at a time before they can move on. And me, I'm like, no, I want come on, keep it up. I want to keep learning because the more I learn, the more value I bring to my clients, the more value I bring to my life. And that's what that's at the end of the day, that's what it's all about is we all are looking to fulfill ourselves and our lives and live the best life that we can. And unfortunately, too many of us don't believe that we deserve the infinite amount that is ours. And that's kind of what I'm really hoping to change for as many that I can because we do deserve it and we can have it. We can have it and I hope to help you in any way that I can to find it. As
Um,
I find it for
yeah,
myself.
exactly. Right. Just continue to live that life and show people that
Yes,
it's so worth it.
it
It's so
truly
worth it
is.
to believe in yourself. It's so worth it to believe in your dreams because we only got one life to live. And
Ex-
it's so worth living it every single day and showing up.
Absolutely. Couldn't said it better myself. Exactly.
Well, okay. So, Mary, tell us what advice do you have for people who are just finding out that they have ADHD or trying to manage it?
I would say really take some time to process it if you are, especially if you are kind of in the newer phase of learning about it. And first of all, and most importantly, understand it is not a limitation. Do not limit yourself from it. Do not think that you're incapable or use it as an excuse for why you can't do this or why you do this and just kind of learn to really own it and like you say find the gift in it. How can this help me now see this world in a better way? Now can I take this and be like, "Oh, because of this, now I can do this and do that," and explore that about yourself rather than kind of see it in any kind of negative light. Especially before if you decide, if you do decide you wanna get on medicine, really pay attention to yourself and honor yourself and what's the best way for you to handle it because It's not meant to bring you down. It's not meant to stop you. It's meant for you to thrive. And that's all. That's the only reason why you're being exposed to it now. Just to understand yourself better. That's all.
Yeah. I honestly, when I first found out, didn't even realize how many tools there were out there and how many systems I had already put in place for myself to help my brain. And now that I know so much, I'm so excited to share that with others. And it could be just as simple as having a routine in the morning using
Hmm.
Google Calendar and just implement one thing at a time because, gosh, there's so many things that our brains can do. It's
Hmm.
crazy.
Right? It is, isn't it? Gotta love it though. I mean, that's the beauty of it though. That's the beauty of the limitless possibilities out there for all of us is the fact that our minds are so powerful and we have a lot more power for our outcomes than we realize. And you need to think about that and really ask yourself, what do you want out of life? How do you want your life to look? How do you want to feel every day? And then when you really embrace that, what can you do to start making that a reality now for yourself? How can you start feeling that way on a regular basis, no matter where you are, and start actually taking action towards that end result? That's how I do. I love my visualizations. I love seeing my future and knowing where I'm going while also feeling it in my now, appreciating it, knowing I'm on my way to it, and enjoying the journey along the way. That's absolutely my favorite thing.
Brilliant. How do people find you, Mary?
So you can follow me on Facebook. You can just find me under Mary Dibble or Instagram. You can find me there on Mary D Coaching. Visit me on my website, marydibblecoaching.com. Check me out on Radiant Mom Rising podcast. I have incredible guests like Megs here who comes
Woo!
on my show. I can't wait. Yeah, she's coming out in season 2. For any mom entrepreneurs out there, I have a nice guide for you to kind of get you to help balance and juggle getting started while having the family life. And I am, of course, always offering my coaching for anybody who's ready to take action in their life and want to be held accountable and have some love along the way and learn to shift those limiting beliefs into empowering beliefs that will help you get your results sooner. It's so important. Just don't let life pass you by
I
without,
love that.
yeah.
We'll post all of your links in the show notes below so everyone can
Okay.
hook up with you super easy.
Awesome.
Mary, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for being so honest and candid and open. And I know that so many people walked away learning so much today and how they can live their best life just by implementing some simple steps.
Absolutely. Thank you, Meg, so much for having me.
When it comes to this episode, the biggest takeaway for me is just to focus on believing in yourself and becoming mindful about the time that you take for yourself. So often we are worried about other people. We're worried about making them happy first, when truly, if we take the time to allow ourselves to rest, then showing up for other people is just that much more powerful. Check out Mary, check out her links in the show notes below. Additionally, I have a daily planner that I use every single morning at 5 a.m. and at night before I look at my day before. I am continuing to iterate it as I figure out what works for me. But you're welcome to download it and take a look at it below. It includes your priorities for the day, your to-do list, and then adding them to your daily calendar so it will remind you what is on your list to do today. I'm a firm believer that having your calendar a little bit too packed, this is a me thing, having your calendar too packed can be a little overwhelming. And sometimes I don't get things done if it's too packed. But time boxing things helps me understand if I have things that I'm on fire for, what I can actually get done in a day versus what has to be put off to another day. Time boxing has been really helpful because I can often be time blind to my world and what I'm actually able to do because I think I can conquer the world when I wake up at 5 a.m. And truthfully, we have a whole day and only a certain amount of time to do what we need to do. And I'm always wanting to make sure that I take time for my family and for my husband to be with them as well. It's a healthy balance. Additionally, check out my Patreon. I put an additional clip in there from the Alyssa episode. There's parts 1 and 2, but there was so much juiciness that we talked about when it came to organizing. If you haven't listened to that episode, Alyssa is a neurospicy home organization specialist. And her and I talk a ton about organizing for a different type of brain. I also put in there a 14-hour project of video before and after of a project I worked on with an amazing, beautiful client. I went to the donation center multiple times. I show all of the different donations. I show the before, the after. And I think what's really neat is just talking about that space and what it meant for my client after. The real reason I do this is because when you create spaces that lessen the decisions you have to make, if you think about it, every single item you own is a decision you have to make on whether or not you need it, on where to put it, where does it live, on if it's part of a project or if it's part of your home. When you have less decisions to make on all the stuff in your home, there's less clutter in your brain. And when there's less clutter in your brain, you have a lot more time for the things that can elevate your life, that can help you thrive, because your brain is so incredible. And there's so many things that you're capable of doing. If you need help with your ADHD organization or anything along those lines, please reach out to me. If you like what you heard, please share with others and leave a review. I would love to hear from you. My contact information is in the show notes below. Share your stories, share any feedback, share what you'd like to hear next. I am also a strong proponent of taking time off for yourself, and I've included a link to Remedy Bath Skincare below. This is owned and operated by one of my favorite people who has been in business for a couple years now, and I have been using her CBD bath bombs for years, and they're so incredible. I've never had a bathroom that smells or works better than this, and CBD is just an extra pressure taker offer, if those are the words you want to use. Check it out below. I also included my link. It's Meg Bathco, and you can save 10% off of your order. Another way you can support the podcast is by using my link if you want to try out HelloFresh. It's an amazing way to automate your grocery shopping and try new foods. It takes so much of the thinking out of planning for the week. My ADHD brain has been so appreciative of HelloFresh. We've actually been using for I think all of 2024 now. We've tried so many new foods, some that we didn't like as much as we have liked, but so many amazing flavors. And I'm so thrilled to not have to think ahead to try to figure out what's for dinner, especially when my husband and I are managing jobs and then, of course, our kiddos at the same time. I want to reiterate, I am not a doctor, and most of the people I talk to are not doctors or medical professionals. What's really important here is that you shouldn't be using the show to diagnose. I wanted to make this show available to people who wanted to be able to relate to other people like them. I know I needed this tenfold when I first found out that I had ADHD. And I didn't know there were so many other people out there who had either gone through similar circumstances or were going through them at the same time as I was. So if this helps anyone feel like their brain works like other people's and we can relate to something, if you're trying to figure out if you have ADHD or not, please talk to your therapist or a medical professional so that you can truly understand what kind of options you have out there for support and, of course, for medicine. And then come here as you're along the ride for the journey and listen to people who are going through similar circumstances and understand that it's not a one-size-fits-all sort of diagnosis. There's so many options and opportunities out there for you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to hear from you.